So I'll introduce myself shortly, but I thought we'd get stuck into some work. I've packed this 45-minute presentation full of breakdowns and cool content, not just so I don't have to speak much. I will talk, hopefully not too quickly. But I'll talk a bit more about my role at the mill shortly, but I wanted to introduce the mill first and let the work do the talking. Very deep ending. Ugh. Extreme close-up. Stop. Yeah, that massive head is mine. So as it says there, I'm going to keep it up there for as short a period of time as possible. So I think it's customary at these things to introduce oneself. My name's Simon. I'm the Group Head of Learning and Development at the Mill. And my remit is, get rid of that, my remit is very much about embedding a culture of learning and professional development across all of our studios globally. I look after our London studio, that's where I'm based. But I look after, in terms of training support, our Chicago, LA, and New York offices. And when I joined 7 years ago, there was no professional development. There was lots of informal mentoring. There was lots of great relationships, but it all happened through osmosis. It was very much a kind of pastoral care thing, which was great. But our runners, our interns, our apprentices craved something that was a bit more joined up and more structured. So I introduced a training program. We run a number of events throughout each year across the group that connects people not just to the work, but to the culture of the building, to just the idea of creativity, and of course, each other as well across the different studios. So to kind of caveat this presentation, I'm a talent person. At the end of the presentation, I'd love to take questions. A lot of the questions I would hope would be around entry-level opportunities. How many people here are students trying to get into industry? Okay, good amount of you. How many you represent industry? How many of you are working in industry? Okay, and you'll all know people who want to get in as well. So my role is very much about talent acquisition, mentorship. Don't ask me about what that was made in. I'll have a guess. I'll blag my way through it, I'm sure. But the key thing with this presentation, and what I'm so excited about doing in the next 40 minutes or so, is showing the work that I love. And the beautiful thing about visual effects in our community is that real pride in the work. So I'm going to talk through the kind of work we're doing at the Mill, the kind of paths we're forging in creative technology and emerging tech. You saw in that short creds deck just now that it's not just the traditional commercial work. It's very much immersive experiences as well. And yeah, we're going to talk about Mill Plus a bit as well, which is around anything creative that's kind of visual. So I'll go into a bit more detail there. But I just wanted to position that first before we get into it. So as I warned you, I'm going to be showing you quite a lot of content. And this is where I say enough about me. What I want to do is show you one of my favorite mill commercials. This goes back to 2003, and I want you to spot in this commercial where the CG comes into play. It's a wonderful piece of commercial work. Zoomed in, but you get the idea.
Isn't it nice when things just work?
Ironically, the clip didn't work because it was zoomed in ridiculously so, but you get the idea. The commercial was made in 2003, so the quality's bad. It's not very high resolution. But how much CG work do you think went into that piece of content? No, none. It was completely renounced of any digital kind of tomfoolery. It was all built in 2003 by our now creative director, Barnsley, Andrew Wood. Long story, he's from Barnsley. Anyway, some of you might know him in the room. And he worked with Honda across 5 months to build that entire mousetrap from scratch. And the reason I've shown you that is the mill's about narrative, storytelling, and ideas. You've all been to, did you all come to the Rookies presentation earlier? Where they talked about the core skills of soft skills, ideas, collaboration. That's what that was about. I mean, if it was done today, it would have been a completely CG, kind of built from scratch, Mill Plus job probably. But I love that it's just this incredible piece of work. I'll try and show it again at the end of the session, full screen, because it's hypnotic. So I just wanted to share that with you. And as much as the Mill has always been a creative content studio that delivered commercials, you know, the dark, dirty world of advertising, every piece of content we do is beautifully told. They're stories. Does that make sense? Always feels a bit cheap when the Honda logo appears at the end after you watch that lovely piece of narrative, and that's something we're very passionate about. So I'll get the mission statement stuff out of the way. So this says, we're artists, technologists, and makers for all media, working at the frontiers of visual narrative. I can never get used to reading this one down here. I'm old school. And that's where we're going now. We're 30 years old. We were founded at the end of the last century, and beginning of the 90s, sorry. And yeah, we started out as a post-production facility. Are you all familiar with the Mill? You know a bit about our history, winning the first visual effects Oscar, Gladiator, all that good stuff. But over the years, even in the last 7 years I've been at the Mill, you always judge what you do by what you tell people at parties. I don't go to parties anymore. I'm quite old now. Although I know I don't look it. You're too kind, guys, you're too kind. But my point is that I've only been at the Mill for like nearly 7 years. And when I joined, it was, I work for a visual effects studio, post-production facility. And then it became content creation. You hear that? It's quite a buzzword, isn't it? Yeah, we're content creation. And I remember meeting with the exec creative director in New York, and I asked him, what are we about now? And he literally couldn't tell me, because there's so much stuff happening. We're inventing things. We have a creative technology team that literally sit and invent stuff. And no different to Marcus's talk earlier on Arnold, it was all about creating stuff out of nothing. We have entire teams dedicated to inventing madcap tech that takes visual narrative to the next level. So 30 years deep, we work with some of the best clients in the world, continue to work with the best clients in the world, and we're working with cutting-edge technology all the time. And we're 1,000+ strong now. So I look after the core mill, as I like to call it, particularly from a talent and development point of view. So that's London, New York, LA, Chicago. But we recently opened in Bangalore. We have a studio there. We were acquired by Technicolor recently, which enabled us to open Mill Film. So unearth Mill Film again. And we're doing some lovely stuff over in Adelaide and Montreal. And we're just on the cusp of announcing Mill Berlin. So we're moving out of our comfort zone and working with incredible territories, clients, and creatives. And the sky's the limit in terms of what we're doing. So we're unparalleled both in scale and depth, but we're also, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're the most awarded visual effects studio in the world, mainly because we do knock out a lot of work. It's a commercial studio. One of the beauties of being an artist in a commercial studio is the turnaround of amazing jobs. You know, nothing against the film world, but yeah, the variety of work. You saw the creds deck earlier. You saw what's available in terms of content. We've just wrapped Watchmen, going back into, I don't know whether I'm allowed to talk about Watchmen. It used to be called the HBO project, and we've just delivered a lot of CG work for that particular long-form piece of content, which is going back to what we used to do. So something I'm very proud of. The website is designed to showcase our awards quite crudely in a kind of cute way, in that it's a scroll down thing. So there's pictures of awards on everything. So you start scrolling down and it's like, yeah, okay, we get it. Stop showing off kind of thing. I mean, it's D&AD pencils through to Cannes lines. It's pretty impressive going back to when we started our journey. So I said journey, didn't I? I get a bit cheesy on these things. I'm an L&D guy after all. So I want to kind of share some work with you to show the diversity of what we do. And the first piece of work I'm going to show you is based around one of these core kind of disciplines. So like I said earlier, the Mill is still a core VFX studio. It's still a content creation studio, but we have so many different elements to what we do. So our animation studio, our in-house animation studio, was born out of our design department, who do some incredibly thought-provoking pieces. We have a completely dedicated design team. We do lots of events now. We did a virtual experience last Halloween for Thorpe Park. Anybody been to Thorpe Park in the UK? It's a theme park. And there was a kind of horror experience, which I'll share with you later as well. I'll share that with you. The creative tech team I mentioned earlier, they're doing loads of immersive technology. Has anybody seen Mill Mascot, the virtual puppet that it's a completely rendered, completely CG real monkey that you control with just your bare hand. There's no like glove or anything. It's all leap sensor detection. Core VFX in the middle. Again, when we talk about VFX at the moment, we're not just talking about aliens, explosions, and Hollywood blockbuster type VFX. The piece of content in the middle is our Lloyd's Bank commercial, which is one of our most CG heavy jobs. And there wasn't a, Marvel character in sight or a explosion. It was all very beautifully done. And then, of course, there's this brave new world of augmented reality, virtual reality. We have entire departments working with mobile phone content now. And, of course, there's our Mill Film wing. So that just gives you an idea of how the Mill's evolved over the years. I showed you that old school commercial more out of nostalgia because that was the golden era of advertising. And we're realizing now that that era is a bygone era. And we're doing a lot more work now going direct to brands, working with clients that aren't agencies necessarily, and we do a lot of work with directors almost for free. We do it for the commercial reasons that we win lots of awards, and that gets people back into the Mill to work with us longer term. So I'll share some of that work with you as well. With me so far? All good? I haven't lost you yet? Nobody's fallen asleep? No casualties? Good. It's a packed house, so I'd better do you proud. So I'm going to show you some work now. Here's a kind of cherry pick. The first one I'm going to show you really kind of captures the narrative that we're so proud of. We do Nike commercials every year in and around sporting events. We're favored for World Cup ads. You'll have remembered Right the Future going back a few years. This is akin to that, but this is selling football boots. Have you seen the Nike Phantom piece on our website? Good, excellent. It's the premiere, world premiere. So I'm going to share this with you, and this just gives you an idea of, we're selling football boots, but there's an incredible narrative and story to it. So enjoy.
I never believed in monsters until that night. Whatever happened, it didn't sound pretty.
I saw it with my own eye. I've heard he made the wolf vanish.
J'ai entendu qu'il était partout, mais nulle part en même temps. Moi, j'ai entendu qu'il était pas vraiment humain.
I heard he had 3 legs.
3 legs? What?
For real.
4 legs! 8 legs.
Come on. Really?
Man, I heard you can nutmeg anything.
I heard it was Kevin De Bruyne.
Bueno. I heard it was Ronaldinho.
Your jacket, sir.
Ouvi dizer que era eu.
You guys are all wrong. It was Mal Pugh.
Cosas. Ma che cosa c'è? Ma che cosa c'è?
Non c'è niente di più bello del profumo della paura.
Dramatic, isn't it? I mean, I'm not into football. I'm the most metrosexual man you'll ever meet, and even I want to buy a pair of football boots watching that. But you see what I mean? It's got an amazing narrative to it. I get goosebumps watching that, and I don't care about football boots. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to end up buying a pair, and I don't know why. So that's an idea of the amazing narrative that we do. We're selling, of course, we're shifting units, we're selling products, we're working with brands, but we're creating incredible stories. Now, the next piece I'm going to show you is an example of what we do almost, don't quote me on this, anybody here from the mill in the room? Just checking we've got no moles in. Pretty much do it for free, okay? So Nick and Dodge, you know the directors Nick and Dom, who do a lot of work with Chemical Brothers? Anybody remember the Wide Open piece that did the rounds for the last few years? And wide open, if I heard that thing, that bloody show reel another time, I might actually kill myself, not tear it down. But it was an amazing piece of content, beautiful work. So we followed that up with Free Yourself, which was the completely digital androids coming to life in a warehouse and taking over it and having this kind of like illegal rave in there. Did anybody see that one? It wasn't as beautifully told, but it was an incredible feat of CG mastery. Who has seen it? I know a few learned colleagues. Okay, a lot of you haven't. It's 6 minutes long, okay? So if I can get to the end with 6 minutes to spare and nobody's got any questions to ask, I'll happily show you. We've got a kind of dance and stuff. It's a proper old school kind of rave track, proper house music. But would you want to see it later maybe? It's amazing. Right, let's do that. I'll rattle through it, then I'll stop talking. But what I do want to show you in advance of that, if we do run out of time, and you can watch it on my laptop later if we don't get time, is I love a good breakdown. And this job was in our building for about a year. All right, we had apprentices, interns working on it. We had a lot of people who just joined the mill. They'd never worked in the industry before. They were learning new craft. There was so much experimenting going on, real live mentoring happening, massive teams of people. As a talent manager, hiring apprentices who worked on this piece of content was amazing as well. So whenever I was walking around the mill, you'd get in the lift at the mill and I'd go, what are you working on? And they'd all say Chemical Brothers. I mean, it literally had the whole studio on lockdown. So I wanted to share this short breakdown with you. It's not great quality, a bit like the Honda ad, so I hope it doesn't come out all magnified, but we'll give it a go, okay?
Free yourself. Free yourself. Free yourself. Dance. Free yourself. Dance. Free yourself. Dance. Free yourself. Dance. Dance. Free yourself, free me, dance. Free yourself, free them, dance. Free yourself, help to free me, free us. Free yourself, help to free me, free us. Free us. Free us.
Cheers, mate.
So that's a pretty cool piece. I'll definitely carve out some time to watch it if you're up for it. It's an incredible video. It's a good tune as well, which always helps. But you know, that was our opportunity to really experiment with motion capture and facial recognition. What's quite good when I talk about culture at the Mill, an email will go around the Mill in London, and there'll be one of the creative directors on this going, right, we need volunteers, we need faces, and we had members of our team going down, getting their facial kind of features kind of poured into the machine, and a lot of members of staff saw their mugs in this music video. So it was a really nice way to connect the studio. But technically, the 3D team in particular really had to push themselves. And I found out recently how much the mocap suit costs. A revelation to me. I mean, there's lots of industry people here. Do you know how much it costs? Do you know how much mocap suits cost? Have a guess. $1,000, 100,000. A bit less expensive than that. But still my thunder. Sorry, what was that? 20,000. 50 grand. 50 grand. I went to an event last week and I had to have it in my hotel room. I was terrified that I was going to get taken out by some mob boss or something. It was terrifying. 50 grand, but amazing, and a great opportunity for the studio to experiment. So I want to talk to you about Mill Plus. How much do you know about Mill Plus? Are people aware of Mill Plus as a brand, as an internal studio? Show of hands. Excellent, it's the best room, I can just say what I want. So Mill Plus is our in-house studio. So it's an in-house production facility. So when you think of the Mill, historically, whatever we're working on in terms of post and VFX, it's always an external director. So Nick and Dom's a great example, or it could be an agency or somebody coming in with a piece of content that's either already made or in pre-production. Mill Plus is a complete blank piece of paper. So it's an incredible opportunity for us to cut our teeth in terms of directing. And one of my challenges as an L&D, a learning and development practitioner, was running workshops not just on management skills and soft skills, but we had to commission film directors to come in and teach our creative directors who had been there for years how to get great performances from talent. Yeah. So you know, whether it be short passion projects or Mill commissioned work. So Mill Plus is very much our internal production studio, which means it gets to be super creative. It's not just commercials. It's not just kind of, not even long form content. It's credit sequences. It's music videos. It's festival credit sequences, much like the amazing CGA credits that we have. So I want to share a bit of work here that gives you an idea of the breadth of the work that we do in Mill Plus. The first one is, yeah, this is a really interesting one. We have a monthly staff showcase at the Mill, where they show all the work from across the group. And I had no idea we'd done this. Now, does anybody know the game? It's called Apex Legends. Yeah, I see, I'm 45 years old. You know. But Okay, so we've got a show of hands. So we did the trailer for Apex Legends, and I just thought this was an amazing, it just felt really groundbreaking. It felt really fresh. I think the animation's incredible. And some of you might have seen this trailer potentially. I think it's for Apex Legends 2. I have no idea, but it just looks fucking cool. So I'm going to show you this, and then we're going to get into a few more Mill Plus jobs, and then I'm going to start to talk about culture and some of the work I do at the Mill in that respect. But this is pretty cool. And it has blood violence, not just violence, blood violence.
Let's go. Yeah. Muchas gracias, amigo.
Come back here, brother. I dare ya.
I won't, but you're already dead.
Night-night.
As a boy, always knew I one day had the courage to be king. For a fast guy, you're pretty slow. For a dull guy, you're perfect. I am perfect. Close thing gets hot. And there ain't enough room for us both on the throne. It's about to go down.
That can't be good. Definitely not good.
Rock up, ladies. Let's move. Awesome. This is the lead board I've been all day. Thanks.
What is that?
Cause there's only one king, and there's only one crown, and there ain't enough room for us both on the throne. It's about to go down. It's about to go down.
I just met. What happens at the Mill is we have all these big projects that you know are in the building, and something like this just comes out of nowhere, and it just blew me away. But anyway, that's an idea of what we do in Mill Plus. It's not just traditional ads, you know. It's this amazing piece of content that barely has a brand kind of labeled on it, and the fact that it's gaming, and we are starting to get more into the gaming world. We're doing working a lot with kind of gaming software at the moment as well. So it's yeah, it's a brave new world there for sure. Now, again, talking about the brevity of the work, the diversity of the work. We do a lot of 2D stuff. So as much as there's the high-end stuff, you know, the Chemical Brothers ad is a great example of really high-end CG, right? Like photoreal stuff. We do some incredible work with creatures that we don't have a huge amount of time to spend on, but we've really got into creature work to the point where, does anybody see the SSE commercial that we did in the UK with the orangutan going around the fairground? We got that. It's actually our friends at MPC, when they were doing the Jungle Book, had to literally go back to the drawing board once they saw that commercial, because it wasn't, you know, and this is a true story, it just wasn't up to par. I mean, it's incredible what we did, and we actually got a lot of complaints from animal protection agencies for harming the poor orangutan in that commercial. So it's not just that incredible photoreal stuff. We do some lovely, cute 2D animation. So as I mentioned the animation studio internally. It operates like a traditional animation company, just because it's the Mill. It's not this incredible 3D stuff. There's some really cute stuff that we do. The piece I'm going to show you is it's a really short piece, and it's followed by a short breakdown as well, because the breakdown really illustrates all the lovely concept art we did and the character development that we did. And character development's a big part of what the animation team do at the Mill, or in Mill Plus anyway. So I'm going to show you this. Does anybody know Daisy, the collaborative, it's a collaboration tool for creatives? I'd never heard of it either, but it's a lovely piece of content and a lovely piece of creature work, character work. So I'm going to show you the short commercial. Maisie, what's the name from Game of Thrones? She's part of this, apparently. So actual name, Mary wants the name. So I'll show you this piece, and then I'll show you the breakdown so you get an idea of what I'm talking about. Actually, tell a lie. I've got, that's coming. This next piece is credits. I mentioned credits earlier. Look, it was going so well, wasn't it? Can we just like erase that? Can I kind of like Men in Black you all? I'm I've got my clicker here, I'll try it. So yeah, sorry, I'm going to do the Daisy thing in a minute. This is from the Forward Festival that happened recently. We had an appearance there. And this is where we really nurture our young talent, our kind of brand new creative directors and art directors that come through the mill. And this piece was designed 100% by Rajinder Davzi, who's an art director at the mill. He came in as a runner only 5 years ago, and now he's creating incredible creature work like this credit sequence. So I'm going to share this with you, and then I'm going to show you the Daisy stuff, which is a great example of the 2D work that we do in Mill Plus. Sorry about that. Enjoy. Pretty cool. So you don't have to clap everything. I didn't make it. Did anybody go to Forward Festival? Did anybody see that? A few, good. I'm looking out today. Yeah, but again, a really great example of creature work and Mill Plus work. So it's completely built from the ground up, from a piece of paper on a brief through to what you see on the screen, and incredibly proud of Raj for doing that. Plus, he's from the Midlands, where I'm from, so respect to Birmingham. Anybody from Birmingham? Probably not. Poor, bad joke, bad joke. So I'm going to show you the Daisy commercial now, a short commercial launching Daisy. It's a creative collaboration tool partnered, or I guess founded by Maisie Williams, I think it is, from Game of Thrones. But again, a nice piece of 2D animation.
Built a playground for creative collaboration. Welcome to Daisy.
Just a lovely piece of character work, isn't it? So our art director, or animation director, Kwok Fung Lam, designed this, and he's one of our rising stars at the Mill. He's an incredible character development artist. He runs workshops for us all the time with kids as young as 7 years old on character development. He's an incredible piece of work as a human being, not just in terms of what he presents. So this is the breakdown and what went into that that piece, just to give you an idea of the wonderful characters that he developed. just shows that you can do lovely hand-drawn illustration at the mill. You know, you don't have to be these incredible tech wizards, which is my next piece, which is our creative tech team. So I'm aware of time, so I've got two I'd like to show you, but I might only show you one, because do you still want to see Chemical Brothers at the end, yeah? All right, we definitely can do that. I'm going to show you this short film, which is our immersive experience. So I've been strategically teasing these different immersive experiences that we did, and our most recent one was for Fanta, the popular soft drink, the delicious drink, and it was a haunted house experience at Thorpe Park, something we'd never done before. And going back to what we were talking about earlier about just ideas and getting your hands dirty, you know, there are creative tech kind of mathematicians in like up to their kind of knees in mud, you know, creating these kind of, you know, touch and feel experiences, not just CG real VR. So I'm going to show you this Fanta experience quickly, just because it's, I think it's the way things are going, particularly for us as a studio.
Oh my god, there's something right next to my head.
Welcome to Fanta's Twisted Carnival. This way, don't be shy.
The challenge was to create a truly memorable and scary immersive experience for a fright-loving teen audience. The team designed a fully interactive theatrical show, engineered to be transported to multiple locations. Actors set up the narrative for the experience, guiding visitors around a carefully designed and curated branded environment, giving the teen audience the chance to create shareable photos to impress their social media followers, before heading into the darkness of the haunted Fanta vending machine. A fear-inducing audio-visual show combined with mechanical scares. Every sensation was reinforced by something physical to give everyone who was brave enough to take part the fright of their lives. Over 8,500 people visited the Twisted Carnival across 4 locations. The experience was the key component of a wider integrated campaign which featured a Snapchat portal that made the physical virtual. As well as influencer and media owner activity, the campaign achieved 10 million views overall, making for Fanta's best year ever. That's it.
Yeah.
Amazing! And then someone started touching me, I was like...
It was really fun.
It's proper scary.
Yeah. Amazing! Oh! 666 out of 10.
So very seasonal, isn't it? As Halloween was just yesterday. I'm going to skip back to Corona. We did another installation in Mexico. I'm going to jump over that because it's quite an old piece. So I'm just going to... That's for later. So I just want to talk briefly about our culture at the mill, because it's important that I talk about what we've fostered, what it's like to work in at the mill, particularly with the work that we do in my team. So culturally, one of the key things we do, and I'm going to talk a bit more about this in my talk tomorrow for Access VFX, which is the other hat that I wear. But like it says here, we pioneer a lot of diversity and inclusion initiatives through a lot of different events, a lot of different almost installations to really connect with the next generation. And one thing we've pioneered at the mill is connecting with young people as young as primary school children who are super keen to get involved. And these kids came in during International Women's Day, trying to get more girls in STEM, or STEAM as we like to call it now, and it was an incredible event. So we run events like that. We get stuck into events. That's our London office during Pride Month. This was one of our many International Women's Day panels, and this was a really I was really proud of this one because this is the event that almost spawned Access VFX, because everybody there are all working at competing visual effects studios, and not only are they all working at rival studios sitting in the hallowed halls of the mill, but they're all at different levels. You know, when you go to panel discussions and it's always heavyweights, Oscar winners. I mean, Sarah Bennett was there, who's sitting at the back who won the Oscar for Ex Machina, but everybody else, Bimpe, who has the microphone there, had been with ILM for about 3 months as a concept artist. So we started to do more near-peer kind of work. We do loads of events on VR. This is a love Nuria from our creative tech team working with young kids. That's the back of my head. That's there I am, looking a bit porkier there. But yeah, I should look like some kind of sex dungeon thing. I mean, we've gone on from there. This kind of headset that I saw, you know, the movie Saw. That's kind of how it felt like. But we had Dennis the Menace on the screen for the kids. And you can see they're loving it, you know. And there I was not really loving it, looking very sweaty and very tired. But the idea is Dennis the Menace can interact live with the children in real time. And that's software that we're continuing to pioneer and using it for outreach events to inspire young people. We run workshops throughout the year for all kinds of walks of life. People who want to get involved in not just the industry, but want to kind of progress. And, you know, we do a lot of work on gender equality from these particular events. We have an internal staff inclusion network that takes action. You know, through the inclusion network already, we've increased maternity pay. We've even got things like baby changing units put in. But it's this lovely way to connect our staff internally to create an environment that's, that people can show up as themselves on a daily basis. I'm going to talk more about mentoring tomorrow, but we run a global mentoring program across all the groups. I mentioned earlier that all the different mills operate in silos apart from work-share projects. So what we do is we created a global mentoring program where somebody in Chicago can mentor somebody in New York or London, and it can be for professional development, it can be for parents. We have a parent mentoring program. We have one for people moving to different studios so they can understand the different cultural nuances of the new city that they're in. So the idea is we don't just kind of prepare people for their role, but we also increase more fresh perspectives as well. And I'm really proud that the mill leads Access VFX. So I founded Access VFX while I've been working at the mill, and the mill continues to lead that now global creative and that inclusion movement. But 11 o'clock tomorrow upstairs if you want to hear more about that. And then we just run events upon events upon events. This was a way to connect young people from different ethnic backgrounds. And what we did with this particular event with a company called We Are Stripes was connect, you know, for example, this is Ahmed and Prince. So Prince is a 2D artist at Frame Store, and Ahmed is a 2D artist at the mill, sitting together, speaking to people of color about their role and inspiring them, so they can see, it's a see it, be it mentality. They got to see people who work in the role they want to do, because typically our industry gets accused of people not seeing themselves in these creative roles. This is a DNEG animator talking to a young family. I mean, it's been an incredible journey, and the mill continues to run these events to plant seeds for the next generation of creative talent. Right, I'm going to show you Chemical Brothers. I'm about 3 minutes over. Is that okay? Can I show Chemical Brothers for these lovely people? Amazing. So I can't see anybody there. Okay, so this is the Chemical Brothers video. It's about 6 minutes long. Feel free to have a dance. It's quite a catchy track. But this is the product of the making.
Wankers.
Evening.
Evening. Wish me luck. I'm on my bike.
Free yourself. Free yourself. Free yourself. Free yourself. Free yourself. Free me. Dance. Free yourself. Free them. Dance. Free yourself. Help to free me. Free us. Free yourself. Help to free me. Free us. Free yourself. Free yourself. Free yourself. Free yourself. Dance. Free us.
crawling to the bath.
Free yourself, free me. Free yourself, free them. Free yourself, help to free me. Free us. Free yourself, help to free me. Free us. Free us. Free us. Free us. Free us. Free yourself, free me, dance. Free yourself, free them, dance. Free yourself, help to free me, free us. Free yourself, help to free me, free us. Free us. Free us. Free us. Free us. Free us. Free us.
Thank you. So I'm pretty sure I've overrun quite significantly. I'm very sorry. So there's probably no time for questions, which is such a shame. But I'm going to be around. I was being sarcastic, by the way. But I can take some questions if I'm allowed. Am I allowed questions? Oh, amazing. Okay, has anybody got any questions? No? Yes, one. Please. Oh, in my goodie bag. I've got one. Are you here coming tomorrow?
Yes.
We'll look after you.
Yes, we don't have time for questions now, but we are lucky that Simon will be with us tomorrow, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and
4 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
Anytime, you know, and you can ask him
Evening
questions.
reception tonight.
Dan, is it okay with you?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, fine.
Okay. We'll have a little break now, 10 minutes coming up for our next speaker. Thank you very much. Thank you, Simon.
Cheers.